Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com, how to make an easy Kydex knife sheath. Now, Kydex is a great material. You can make a variety of different style knife sheaths with it. You can have a two-piece knife sheath and you just grommet the two halves together. You can make fold-over knife sheaths, and you can make a variety of different types of belt loops or belt connections. So I'm going to show you a very basic way to make a kind of a really nice knife sheath. Particular knife that I'm making this sheath for has a hollowed out area, so I am going to fill that area with cardboard, and I am going to protect the entire blade just with painter's tape. You want to fill that section with cardboard because this Kydex is kind of form fit to the blade, and if the Kydex filled in that void, you wouldn't be able to pull the knife out of the sheath. So the cardboard is really just a filler. I'm then going to sketch out the basic shape for the top half of the Kydex sheath. I'm just using a colored pencil. Yellow happens to show up really well on this stuff. I've made a very simple form press. I actually just took a kid's play mat and cut some foam out of it, sandwiched it between a couple of pieces of 1x6 and taped it together with duct tape. I'm going to put the small piece of Kydex into my oven, 325 degrees, only takes 4 or 5 minutes. You want to take it out when it just begins to be able to flop over like this. Don't cook it too long. You will melt it. It gets kind of hard and messy to work with at that point. So just when it's flexible, you want to put the knife into that form. The bottom piece of Kydex in this form is just the flat back, so that did not get heated up. I am then going to clamp both halves of that press together, and I'm just going to use a couple clamps to squeeze them. And hold everything in place. You can see on the right hand side of the screen that the Kydex that was heated up is flopping all over the place, the part that's protruding out of that press. I could have cut that off before I even put it in the oven if I wanted to. It was just some scrap pieces that I had laying around. And then after probably at least 10-15 minutes, when that Kydex has cooled off, you can unclamp that press. Take it out, and you can see now that that top piece of Kydex is perfectly formed for the knife. Now, don't mind the yellow marks from the pencil. I kind of missed my mark on that, but the Kydex, we had extra material there, and the Kydex is formed very nicely. So now I'm going to redraw those lines, and what I'm doing is I'm leaving about 3/8 of an inch, maybe slightly more than that, all the way around the diameter of where the blade actually is inside that sheath. And you can see that visually because of the indentation. I'm then going to cut on the outside of that line. I want to leave myself a little extra material here. I don't want to be super accurate yet. Because I am going to clamp these two pieces together, I can cut them out so that they match, and then eventually I'll take it over to the belt sander and make them both match perfectly. But I'm going to rough cut this top formed piece of the two-piece knife sheath. I'm just using a pin saw, but a bandsaw would certainly work just fine. And I'm just going to cut the height off of it. I didn't want that much of the handle sitting inside the sheath. Now, these sheaths mostly hold the knife through friction. So it's a matter of how much you cut off, how strong that knife is going to be held into the sheath. And you can adjust that a little bit with the location of the grommets. I'm now going to cut out the back flat piece of Kydex. You do want to have the shiny part of the Kydex facing the blade. Most people really want the textured part of the Kydex showing on their sheath. And for the back of this particular knife sheath, we're going to leave a long tab. That's going to be the fold-over section that's going to become the belt loop. And there are certainly a variety of different types of belt loops that you could make. At this point, I'm going to drill a couple of 1/4-inch holes and just grommet these two pieces together roughly, so that I can hold it in position when I cut now the kind of the final cut on both the top and the bottom pieces together. So I've grommeted the two pieces together, and then I'm going to cut them out, the actual shape that I want for the final outline of the knife sheath. And I'm leaving myself at least 3/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, for room for the grommets. The grommets are a 1/4-inch hole. Depending on how much space you want them, you could leave yourself even more room. If you left yourself a 1/2 inch, that would be more than enough, and you could just finish trimming it at the end. So now it's starting to take shape. Next, I'm going to just test fit, and then I'm going to finish drilling holes for the grommets and finish grommeting the knife sheath. And the grommeting process is very simple. I'm just drilling 1/4-inch holes, basically just putting a hole wherever I think that they can either be useful for tying this thing into position on a knapsack or in use somewhere, or just where I think they look good. And then you take the grommets, you just push them into each hole, and then there's a grommet tool that peens over the backside of these grommets. A very simple device. It's just a shaft that's turned with a radius, an interior radius, and you just give it a little tap with a hammer, and that peens over the back of the grommet and very nicely holds the two pieces of Kydex together. Now I'm just going to finish grommeting the sheath together. And now really all I have to do is make the belt loop. Now instead of putting this or trying to put this back into the oven to heat it up, I'm just going to use a heat gun. You could actually do this with a hairdryer. I'm going to bend it over a flat piece of aluminum that I had, but you could use any straight edge. You could even use a ruler. You just want to heat it up unto the point where it's flexible. If you had a pair of gloves on, you could probably just hold it in position with the pair of gloves. I'm just going to use a pair of needle nose pliers and kind of bend it over that piece of aluminum, and then just hold it in position for 20 or 30 seconds until it starts to take or starts to hold that position. And this first bend is going to be the very bottom inside loop of the belt loop, and this is what's going to prevent that sheath from sliding off of your belt. The next bend will be a little bit about halfway up. This will be the top bend, and again I'm going to heat it up with that heat gun and then just fold it right over a straight edge. And you can crimp that as tight as you want. You can either use pliers or needle nose pliers or even a clamp at this point. And it sets up pretty quickly. The end result is it's a nice belt loop. It actually has a little bit of memory to it, so it does have some spring to it. That bottom loop to the belt that I was talking about earlier is what prevents the belt from sliding off the bottom. So it will very easily slide onto your belt, and hopefully it won't very easily come off of the belt unless you want it to. I am going to go to the belt sander. I'm just going to clean up all of the edges, get rid of any little burrs. And that's it. A very easy to make black plastic or Kydex knife sheath. And again, these can be made in a variety of different sizes and shapes. They can be made in two-piece or folded over, all with the same basic techniques. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Be sure to check out our other how-to videos. And if you like this video, I ask that you please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel.